Can you start by introducing yourself?
Yes, I am Patricia Bruhn. I have lived in Windsor for probably 3/4 of my life, a long time. Alumnus of Windsor High School, class of '83, best there ever was. What else can I tell you?
So tell me about your Windsor story.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Tell me about your Windsor story.
My Windsor story. Wow, let's see. Windsor was a great place to grow up. Had a lot of fun. We lived in Wilson growing up, so I was a minute walk from Dairy Queen and McDonald's both, which were treasures back in the day. And then I also lived within close enough distance that I could walk to the shopping center by myself. I could go down to Gosley Pool by myself, ride my bike down there. I spent most of my summers at Gosley Pool growing up when we were in school. So after spending most of my summers in Gosley Pool, in junior high school, you're old enough to work on tobacco. So I worked on Brown's tobacco fields as a leafer. Worthwhile experience getting out there. It was a hard summer. It was long days. Definitely worth it. Definitely a lot of fun things. Then into high school, I started working. I worked at Sage Allen, which used to be down in the Windsor Shopping Center. So I worked there for several years in the jewelry department. Made a lot of good friends there. A lot of Windsor High School students worked there as well, at times. And then moved on to college. I ended up staying local and going to Central. So I was living at home in Windsor for part of that. At one point, the family moved from Wilson and we moved down to Mountain Road. And so we're down in the center now. Actually, I forgot. We originally started out in Deerfield section. We were originally in Deerfield. I forgot about that one. That was when I was little. That was even preschool. And I remember that one specifically because I had this huge room, what I thought was a huge room because I was so tiny. And also I remember because my grandparents came out and there was a big parade. And I don't remember if it was the Memorial Day parade or if it was the Shed Derby parade. I have a feeling it was Shed Derby things. Forgot about that. Yes, we can never forget Shed Derby. Shed Derby growing up is a place where you all gather together on Saturday. Even now, as an adult, if you want to see somebody that you haven't seen in a long time or just gather down, just go to the beer garden and you will find somebody from school and you can catch up and have a beer with them and sit and hang out. I still have a lot of good friends from high school. I still keep in touch with a lot of them. I've also ran a couple of our reunions that we've had. We have a 40th coming up. Don't tell anybody I said that, but 40 years coming up soon. I'm looking forward to that. And so it was good. It was all in all good. Windsor was a great town. It was easygoing. It's changed a lot through the years, but not remarkably as you might see in some other towns. You can still see some subtle changes depending on which part of town you're in. It's easy to get through town. I mean, you can get from one end of town to the other. We spent a lot of time at the Plaza movie theater. I used to walk everywhere. I'd walk from Wilson down to the center. I was involved in Girl Scouts, which was over at Grace Church. We met in the basement there. So I was able to meet people and make friends with other ones that went to either Sage Park, even though I went to LP Wilson. Oh yeah, we can't forget that. At the time that I was in junior high, there were two junior highs. We had Sage Park, which is now the middle school, and we have LP Wilson, which was the other junior high school. And then the year that my brother went into 9th grade is when the 9th grade moved to the high school, and we gained the middle school thing. And the high school has changed a lot. I remember it from the beginning being much smaller than it was and being one building things. Had a lot of great teachers. Miss Lori Costa is probably one of the younger ones that I had as an English teacher. Still keep in touch with her. Mrs. Van Osdale, great history teacher. Can't forget our principal, Mr. Shea, and vice principal, Mr. Martin, or did I get that wrong? It might be reversed now, right? And then we were very fortunate. I mean, we had a lot of fun. A lot of fun growing up in town. All right, what else?
Do you have a teacher in particular that you would say was your favorite?
It was my absolute favorite. There's so many. I'm going to actually, almost forgotten until recently about Mrs. Barnett, who recently passed. She was our home ec teacher. She was wonderful. She was very kind and very easygoing, and we had a great time with her class. I loved home ec. It was a lot of fun. I love sewing, so I used to sew a lot too. It was so hard though. Oh, junior high though, we can't forget Mrs. Marconi. I think about her quite often because of the fact of how she kind of pushed me for certain things. The only thing I didn't like is that she used to give crossword puzzles for practice. And to this day, I don't like crosswords. They're not my favorite thing to do. They just never have been. It was so funny, but that's what she liked to do. But we had a lot of fun doing that. She was a great teacher. Oh, there were so many things. Some of them I can see their faces, but I don't remember their names. Age has definitely caught up with me in that respect. What else do I know? Let's see.
So what makes Windsor special to you?
What makes Windsor special to me? That's a great question, because in my mother doing some genealogy, she has traced our family back to some of the founders of Windsor, which is the first town in the state of Connecticut. So that's why it's special to me, because I can go back to the Thralls, the Loomises, I think the Ellsworth. Some of them I'm still working on proving, but it looks to be good true. Who else is there? There's the Phelps family. That was another big one. A lot of the names that you see around town. Holcomb was another one. They're big ones. They're still farming out in Granby and East Granby, I believe. Then there was a large family called the Cases. I think a few of them might have been at Windsor at one point. Thing that I probably like to point out is that I read this book recently about Windsor, and Windsor stretched out quite far, a lot farther than most people realize. I encourage you to go to the Windsor Historical Society and look for that book and see how big it used to be, because when you think of all these families and how they moved to Simsbury or to Bloomfield, at one point that was all Windsor. They all really, truly lived in Windsor. So there's a lot of great history. So that's what makes Windsor really, truly special to me, is I can go back to the early days of our families.
Great.
Did I leave out anything? I was like trying to think.
No, I think you
I hit it off?
hit it all. Good job.
Thank you.
Woohoo!